Hello, guys. Welcome to this week series of our trading model on Facet Cyber. Today, we are going to talk about the next very important step on the journey of becoming a professional cybersecurity. It's understanding the OSI model. What is the OSI model? OSI model was it's a structure that was first coined by a particular organization that I believe all of us have known about the organization by now, which is an International Organization of Standardization. ISO. They offer a lot of certification, but I think we all know about that. So OSI model, it's a framework that entails how networking, traffic, application, whatever you are using, either you are sending a message, you are on a server, cloud, it covers all aspects of technology. That is what OSI model is all about. An OSI model is divided into seven. We have layer one, layer two, up to layer seven. Without the understanding of OSI model, you cannot fully grasp what technology is all about. Come to talk of defending it. Because when you start understanding cybersecurity, you will begin to refer things from OSI model standard. Where is the problem coming from? Okay, the problem is coming from layer 7. The problem is coming from data link. The problem is coming from the application layer. The problem is coming from network layer. And also, when you see a problem, you don't start thinking, where is this problem coming from? You will know, okay, this problem is coming from layer 1. It's coming from the data link area. It's coming from the network area. It's coming from the application link area. And you just go to that area, identify and fix the problem. So that is what OSI model is all about. Now, what is layer 1 in OSI model? Layer 1 of OSI model comprise of the physical hardware. It can be switch, it can be cable, and the physical hardware, the motherboard, everything, it's in layer 1. That is switch, the cable, the socket, the everything. That is the layer 1 level of the OSI model. The layer 2 level of the OSI model is the MAC address. And this MAC address is responsible for detection of errors and all those things. That is what we call the data link layer. The layer 1 is the physical layer. The layer 2 is the data layer. That is the data link layer. So if something is happening in the data link layer, somebody told you something is happening in the data link layer, that means the person is referring to the MAC address and the newt, the communication and all those things. In the data links layer, it comes down to ones and zero, our binary that we all know about. So what about the network layer? The network layer comes to routing, the determine the path that the IP is going to use in sending the message. When we start to reach how to configure IP address and talking about the IP address and start using VLANs and all those things, you will be able to understand the concept of the network layer. But this is the foundation to build you to understand the concept on how applications work. The transport layers have to do with the TCP, the three-way handshake. The TCP makes sure that your message is being delivered, checking for errors and everything. So it's responsible for delivering your message. What about the season layer? The season layer is responsible for establishing the communication, making sure the communication is open long enough for the for both the receiver and both the sender to communicate. And immediately that communication is done, it will destroy the section. So it's responsible for building and destroying each section. So what about the presentation layer? The presentation layer have to do with encapsulating and encryption and everything, adding specific header. Okay, this message is coming from an iPhone, this message is coming from an Android, it's coming from an Apple system and all those things. It's add all the header and everything and send it to the application layer. Application layer is responsible for the fonts you see, the app that you are using, like the text and everything you see. Those are the application layer. It have to do with your browser, your email, and whatever software you are using to access the internet. So this particular table explain what it's all about. So the application layer, you can find the firewalls in the application layer, HTTP in the application layer, that SSGH, yeah, SMTP and yeah, FTP in the application layer. You can also find different ports in the application layer. Even in the transport layer, there are ports. like we all know the port 443 of the HTTPS and the rest of the port. The presentation layer also encapsulates the firewalls and everything we saw in the application layer. The same thing with the season layer. The transport layer have to do with the TCP and the UDP. What is the difference between TCP? TCP is mostly used in the transport layer when we are transporting data, when we are sending message out, because TCP is going to check for errors, make sure that there is no errors, and give reply if there is error. If the message is not sending, it's going to send a reply: message error, message did not send. This is the problem why the message did not send. That is what the TCP is all about in the transportation layer. But in order to check all these things, there is a price that is being paid. The price is speed. That is why if you are streaming, you are doing a video streaming, you are doing maybe live streaming on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you are not using the TCP, you are using the UDP. The UDP do not check those errors. It's get your information and just send it through it out there, like cache it there if you can. So the UDP do not check any errors. That's why if you are recording a video maybe in 8K or in 4K, at the end of the day, you send it to a particular platform. The platform will drop some frames and handle some frames that they can. The UDP doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't care. It's the TCP that cares that the message reach the receiver how the sender intended it to be. So in the network layer, we also have like packets, routers, the IP and everything. Data link area, we have the frames, the switches, the Wi-Fi and all those things. And the physical layer, like we have talked about, is the bit and symbols, the internet, the Wi-Fi and all those things. Now, technology has evolved. We now have two types of switch. We have the switch that is in the data link area, and we also have switch that can do both establishing connection in a local network and also routing. When you start going to big companies, start doing your networking in big company, you basically going to stumble a lot of switch that have to do with this. It's a switch and also a router. So this kind of switch can also fall in the network area. So when there are sometimes you want to go and maybe buy a switch or look for switch, you are going to specify what type of switch are you looking for. Are you looking for the layer 2 switch or are you looking for the layer 3 switch? You see how these things begin to come together. So things are always going to be described on the layer. Even the firewall, before the early stage of firewall was all about in the network area and all those stuff. But firewall now is up to layer 7 because there are firewalls that you can even implement on layer 7 and the rest. So everything is evolving. The same thing with router. There are some advanced router now that can even find itself in layer 4, which is the transport layer, which can do the TCP and the two-way handshake and everything. So in our next study video, we are going to talk about how all these layers comes, how they evolve and how we can use it and how it's working in our today's networking lifespan. Should I should say so. So thank you very much for staying tuned today. I just wanted us to understand what the OSI model is all about. That it's all about a concrete roadmap, a logical roadmap, how networking work. Though OSI model has been subjected to basically theoretically now, and our next section we are going to talk about what we call TCP slash IP model, which is a four model that is layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, which is a standardized way that all companies are using now to build their networking roadmap or whatever. But without the understanding of ASI model, you cannot understand how network goes and how it works. So from this understanding how ASI model work, by the time we are going to talk about the TCP slash IP model in our next episode, you are going to have a full grasp what we are talking about. So stay tuned on Facet Cyber. Till next time we meet you again. Thank you.